So Duke got its ass handed to it last night against Miami. I mean, I'm not saying that the loss was a surprise. It was the way the loss happened was a surprise. Duke was just straight up bad. Miami is a good team. They might be the best team in the ACC. But Duke will recover from this. I think most people understood coming off the win against North Carolina that going to Miami was going to be a big test. Losing to a good Miami team in and of itself is not a bad result, but it was just the way they looked was a little eye-opening. Speaking of that Duke-North Carolina game, Joe, Wake Forest is the opponent for the Tar Heels tonight. And I think both teams go into this game a little desperate. You know, Wake Forest is trying to fight for their NCAA tournament bid lives, and North Carolina is trying to at least get back to some sort of form that makes them look like national title contenders, because they certainly have not looked like that this season.
Yeah, something's got to give here. If you're Wake, you know, you saw the problems that they had in defending DJ Burns, and you got to figure Carolina watched the same tape. Mm-hmm. And they got to figure Armando Bacot. Now, he's not as good of a passer as DJ Burns is, so we'll see what adjustments Steve Forbes makes in terms of will he double Bacot? Will they zone him a little bit? It just all depends. You know, Wake's got some size, but again, DJ Burns was able to push them around and really was the reason that State was able to beat them down there in Winston-Salem. If you're Carolina, I mean, this is one of those, you know, I asked the question, if the light doesn't come on after going to Duke, when does it come on? Well, I mean, you've been kicked now for 48 hours, so we'll see what it looks like and what type of response Hubert Davis can get out of his team. You know, the Pittsburgh loss, the Duke loss, those are troubling, and you want to see the resiliency. And this team last year went to Wake. They got outplayed. Hubert said as much, and there was still some time to figure some things out, and they did, to Hubert's credit. So now we'll see what he can do with this group, a very similar group, what he can do and how they respond.
I don't know. Are we at the point where their offense is just kind of what it is right now? They've regressed as the season has progressed. Defensively, they might have gotten a little bit better in terms of how the statistics bear out, but offensive efficiency, effective field goal, all the numbers you want to look at, it's actually gotten worse, and we're actually seeing some of the worst numbers Carolina's offense have ever put up.
I mean, there's two ways to look at Carolina. Can someone step up in a supporting role to their big three? Is it possible? Last year, it was Brady Manick. This year, can someone replicate that role? And it's asking a lot.
It is.
So if you're not going to have that, then it has to be the big three. And it has to be all three in the same game against good teams. Unfortunately for Carolina, they haven't had all three really firing in the same game. They've gotten a lot out of Bacot. He's been great. They've gotten more out of R.J. Davis than they have Caleb Love, but Davis and Love just don't seem to be operating at the same level at the same time, and that's become an issue for them because they just don't have a margin for error. You know, then you need a Leaky Black to have a big scoring game. You need a Pete Nance or a Puff Johnson, and it hasn't happened for Carolina in that way. So if that doesn't happen, then it's got to be those three main guys driving the bus.
There's a Twitter account that I follow that goes by Fifth Factor Plots.
Yeah,
he puts together NCAA basketball graphics, just kind of get a better sense of, you know, metrics wise where a team has been versus what they've done in the past or how they compare to other teams. And Fifth Factor Plots put out some interesting stats earlier today, pointing out that this basketball season, UNC's offense is the best performing Carolina offense to shoot this poorly from three, meaning they do all the other things pretty well, right? They don't turn the ball over a ton. They get to the line, which is why Hubert Davis was so upset about what happened on Saturday. Where they lag is that they just can't hit threes. Even Hubert Davis said a couple weeks ago, like, I don't want to because I know what the numbers are. But that's not the game today, man.
And I don't want to get in trouble with some of the Wake fans I do like, but tonight's a home game for Carolina too.
Yeah, well, yeah, there is that.